Pure Accelerate London is around the corner, and we heard that Pure Storage has some big announcements to make. One being particularly interesting for the audience we have today. So could you please tell us a little bit more about what Pure is announcing and why it is important?
Yeah, thanks very much, Arjan. And I think interesting set of announcements coming up at Accelerate in London, really building upon what we've been talking about for the last year, the Pure Storage platform and the benefits that platform brings. And the announcements are going to be focusing on three key areas. Firstly, reinventing modern file with real-time enterprise file, expanding our commitment to our as-a-service model, and you'll have seen we've seen massive uptake with our as-a-service subscription model from our customers over the last couple of years. And then thirdly, addressing some of the concerns that we're seeing with our customers around their VMware environment and how they can optimize their VMware environment given the changing company positioning, subscription model adoption that they've seen with VMware and the implications of that. So three, I think, interesting areas that we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Agreed on that one. Can you tell us a little bit more about the enterprise file storage? Because that's really important for every company, and that's a big announcement from Pure. So please tell us a little more about that.
Yeah, so in terms of the enterprise file space, we've seen for a long time now constraints around how people are deploying legacy storage systems for enterprise file. We're seeing that the use cases for them are changing massively. Big focus on unstructured data today with growing importance of AI and analytics. And customers want to be able to have flexibility in how they're meeting their own internal demands for data storage. So whether that's from a performance perspective, from a capacity perspective, they're really taking a step into the unknown. So when they deploy a system, they want to know that as their needs change, that system can change with them, rather than suddenly having to, at the worst case, throw a system away, literally decommit because it's no longer fit for purpose, or reassign it to another workload and bring in a new system. So having that flexibility is key. And building on the Evergreen platform, we're able to provide that capability for these large enterprise file use cases.
So, getting back to that point, you were talking about Evergreen at Accelerate in Las Vegas. We heard more about, the Fusion 2.0. Is real-time, enterprise file just about some repackaging, of the story, or are you introducing some specific features, which are going to, further increase the value for your customers?
Yeah, so it's about building on the platform. So you're absolutely right. We introduced Fusion, and Fusion brings that fleet-wide management rather than managing of individual systems in a customer's environments. But what we're announcing at London Accelerate is introducing new capabilities to further expand the set of enterprise features that we have on the FlashBlade platform. So particularly interesting, I think, right now for our enterprise customers and customers in the managed service provider space, two capabilities that allow them to run mixed workloads on a single system, so they don't have to deploy customer-specific systems in their environment. And if we look at those capabilities, firstly, secure multi-tenancy, so that they can segment workloads from each other, so that they don't have the risk that internal customers or external customers can suddenly see each other's data or namespaces. So that's an interesting one that customers have been asking for. And then aligned with that to a degree is adding real always-on QoS. So quality of service to enforce protection against that noisy neighbor problem when you're running different workloads from different consumers or users on the same system so that they don't interfere with each other. So those two capabilities, both in a similar space where customers are looking at combining workloads on a single system rather than having to deploy multiple systems for those different workloads or consumers.
Yeah, that's really important for customers, and they're really looking for storage that can help them with that. So, of those two topics, what was the most searched one from the customers that Pure already has, and why was that?
Yeah, secure multi-tenancy really is the one. Many of our customers are looking at either creating their own internal as a service models whereby they put multiple internal customers on the same system, and they want to be able to provide that segmentation and be confident that those internal consumers are truly separated from each other. And also, as I mentioned, that demand from MSPs, where having secure multi-tenancy is just table stakes in running their environment. And so now we're able to fully address the requirements of managed service providers with the FlashBlade platform. So for me, secure multi-tenancy is really a big ticket item.
So looking, beyond these two key features that you are introducing here with your new real-time enterprise file platform, is there any, let's say, other specific, announcement which is tied specifically to modern file system improvements?
So the other area that I think is interesting is in Accelerate Vegas, we introduced an AI Copilot for the FlashArray platform. The ability to use natural language to interrogate what's going on in the environment, understand the footprint, get details on configuration anomalies, and really interact with the environment in a different way. And so now we're also introducing that AI Copilot for file, so that customers in the same way can get insights into their file environment without having to write code or navigate UIs. Even though our UIs are famed for their simplicity, it completely changes the dynamic. So I think that one, when we announce it later on this, or when we launch it later on this year, will build on the AI Copilot that we've already announced, and leveraging all of that vast wealth of data that we have from customer telemetry and customer configuration to provide insights in what's going on in their environments.
So, welcome, Patrick. We're talking about everything that's announced at Pure Accelerate London. And one of the main announcements there as well is the FlashBlade S100 announcement. And that's a big announcement for Pure. And there's multiple reasons for it. Can you tell us a little bit more about what is going on and why it is important to your customers?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Arjan. So we've seen really rapid growth of the FlashBlade line, and both from the very high-end, high-performance systems with the S500 through the S200 and down to the FlashBlade E for that cold data, unstructured data repositories. But what we were seeing on the FlashBlade S line is customers were wanting to start off with a smaller deployment, and the S200 couldn't scale down to that smaller deployment. So effectively, we were having to propose a larger system that wasn't cost effective for them. So the S100 fills in that gap. It provides a lower performance, lower capacity, and therefore lower cost system for for easy adoption at the low end of the range, while still providing all of the benefits of the FlashBlade S in terms of reliability, resilience, replication, snapshots, data at rest encryption, safe mode for ransomware mitigation, all of those capabilities. So not compromising on the features, but providing that entry-level system. Starts off 126 terabytes, so a relatively small starting capacity. Allows customers to scale all the way up to 3 petabytes within that 5-rack unit chassis. But then what I really like, and is really true to the philosophy of Pure, is as customers find their unstructured workloads grow, they're not locked into that system. Per our comments earlier around how there's no need to throw away a system and rebuy a new one. Customers with an S100 have the ability to add capacity, add scalability, but if they exceed the capabilities of an S100, they can non-disruptively upgrade to an S200, which gives them more performance and capacity, or even all the way up to an S500 and the massive performance that the S500 brings. So maximum flexibility for their unstructured data requirements.
Yeah, thank you for that. I do have a short question related to the customers which were seeking that kind of which were trying to fill that gap, for whom the S200 was a bit more expensive. Are you seeing any particular vertical, particular use cases where customers are going for the S100, or is that really across the board you had kind of this kind of unfulfilled ability to address many use cases with that?
Yeah, it's a great question, Max. And so where we were seeing this was customers who saw the value of FlashBlade S to their use case, modern analytics workloads, AI workloads, but where they were just effectively dipping their toe in the water on those initiatives. And so they didn't foresee the need for that higher capacity and higher performance. They liked everything they were seeing with the FlashBlade S, but it's too big for me right now. But I don't know how it's going to change as I roll forward my project 6 months, 12 months, 18 months time. And so they appreciate the flexibility that platform can bring.
So with the FlashBlade S100, a lot of customers will be looking at, okay, how does that compare to the other FlashBlades? And what is the real difference, and what's the real money maker, let's put it that way, for your customers? What's really important for them? Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we've seen tremendous uptake on the FlashBlade E and actually the FlashArray in terms of that, for that data repository, that really allows customers to take benefits of Flash, where previously the only thing they'd consider was the price point of hard disk drives, because nothing else could come in at that price point. Now the E range allows customers to enjoy all the benefits of FlashBlade E at that price point with the associated performance that comes with it. The 100 really continues the performance profile of the FlashBlade S, but at that lower capacity point. And it provides that gateway into the FlashBlade S for those customers who, are just starting out with high performance unstructured workloads, whether that's analytics or AI.
Is there anything particular with everything that's going on with Pure, and is there announcements that you're making today that are giving an even more of an edge to the customers that you have? Any announcements on tiering or something like that?
It's a great question. So tiering is one of those things that's been talked about for so long. And our customers have been asking us for a tiering capability. What do they really want? What they really want with a tiering capability is they want to be able to take their data set and have effectively two different price points for the data set and associated with, because, effectively it's about reducing the overall cost of hosting their data. And they're prepared to take different performance profiles for those two different price points. Let's call it hot data and cold data. Now, we've looked at that problem space and we thought, how can we, do tiering properly? And so what we're announcing at London Accelerate is a concept of zero move tiering. Now, you may look at those words and think, well, what do you mean zero move tiering? How can you deliver tiering without moving data? Because everyone else, to deliver tiering, they move data between, fast backend storage and slow backend storage. And that movement involves complexity, and it takes time to move data between two different storage mediums. And we looked at the problem space and said, we have, with our direct flash modules, we have a storage medium that provides all of the capacity and performance that any workload could need. So actually the storage medium isn't the constraint. Where the constraint exists is the computer network resource to get to the underlying data. And that's actually what we need to control. And so we changed the dynamic in terms of how we look at tiering. And so it's not about the data at rest, it's about the data in flight and how quickly you can or need to get to the data. And so that's why we introduced this capability of zero move tiering. And I think customers are going to find it really interesting as they look at their different data use cases.
So, Patrick, there is, I would say, a topic of great urgency for all customers, all IT infrastructure teams, organizations, and so on. And it's, Broadcom's acquisition of VMware, which happened roughly, I guess, a year ago. We are starting, or we have already started, to see the effects of what this means from a cost perspective. So I was wondering if there is anything that Pure Storage is doing here, to help, customers understand their, I would say, risk and exposure profile, if I may say so, and, what you're doing in that space.
Yeah, Max, it's a really hot topic. I spend a lot of time talking to customers, and it's hard to actually stop them talking about the implications of the change to VMware. So we're, again, building on the platform. We've added a new capability into Pure One. So in Pure One, we have our assessments. We have one on sustainability, we have one on data protection, and now we've added an assessment on VMware. And that provides a real insight into the customer's VMware environment at a fleet level, at a cluster level, at a hypervisor or node level, and all the way down to the VM. And so it allows them to understand their environment, to identify whether that environment's running optimally, and if it isn't, how to optimize it. To your point, Max, to be able to potentially offset some of those cost increases they're seeing by optimizing their footprint, and so taking cost out.
Okay, thank you for that answer. That is a really important topic to every customer at the moment. Everybody's looking into that, as you already mentioned. Another one coming with that is cost management, right? Are you announcing things on that side as well? Because that's really important to the customers as well, right? Making sure that they keep within the cost that they predicted for some years, at least for most customers. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so we've seen over the last couple of years a massive increase in customers taking advantage of our storage as a service model, Evergreen One. And what do they like about it? They like that it effectively gives them a cloud-like consumption model and operating model in their own data centers or in a colo, wherever they're hosting their data. Now, one of the things that we didn't have in that model, but we'll be announcing next week, is the ability to consume what we're calling pure universal credits, so that a customer can take advantage of all of their buying capacity, negotiate discounts at a total subscription level, and then use those credits flexibly across our subscription portfolio, which includes Evergreen One, but it also includes Cloud Block Store running in Azure or AWS, and it includes Portworx. And so it provides some really interesting flexibility whereby if a customer wants to dip their toe in the water on Portworx and have a small deployment of Portworx, they can leverage all of their buying power and their discount power to get Portworx at a cost-effective in a cost-effective way. Same with Cloud Block Store. So universal credits really provides that greater flexibility, but also expands that cloud-like capability in how our customers do business with Pure.
Okay, Patrick, thank you very much for your insights here on these service-related announcements, and overall for this great discussion we've had today. Patrick, if people want to figure out more about the announcements or want to test some of your capabilities, or even do a trial, for example, get in touch with you for Evergreen, where do people have to look at?
Yeah, first step, all the information will be on purestorage.com. And then if you want to get into more details, then please just reach out to your account teams at Pure Storage, and it's easy to set up test environments and for people to really be able to try out these capabilities for themselves.
Thank you very much, Patrick.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.